Okay, now we're going to actually look at finding the equation of some of these lines and two formulas that you're familiar with. The first one's called your point slope formula. Of course, I've identified the unknown variables here in this particular formula. Of course, M, just like a while ago, stands for your slope. Now, your x sub 1 and your y sub 1 is where a point from the line would be substituted in. Now, it can be any point on that line. It doesn't have to specifically be, like x-intercept or y-intercept. It can be, but it can be any other point that's on your line. Okay, then you also have slope-intercept form, y equal mx plus b. And again, m represents your slope. Now, b is going to tell you what the y-intercept of your line is. Of course, if it's a y-intercept, then your x-coordinate would have to be 0. So then whatever value you have here would actually be used as the y-coordinate of that point. Alright, so you're asked to write the equation for each line in point slope form and slope intercept form. What you're going to do is actually substitute your information into the point slope form, and then you're going to simplify it so that it ends up with your answer being in the slope intercept form. Alright, so starting with your point slope form, okay, substituting in first of all the y-coordinate of the point. So this is the point that my line passes through. The y-coordinate's -2. Now since this is minus a negative, I'm going to change that to plus. My slope is given to me here, that's -5. And then I need x minus the x-coordinate of the point, which is -4. So again, since that's a negative, and you would have minus a negative, just go ahead and change that to plus. So you're going to start out by using your slope-intercept form. Now, do what you need to do in order to make it look like slope-intercept form. Now remember, the slope-intercept form is the y equal mx plus b. So we just need to do what's necessary to make this look like this. So first of all, you need to distribute your negative, or -5. So that would give me -5x minus 20. And then in order to get y by itself, I have the +2. That would require that I subtract 2. So y would be equal to -5x minus 22. So this is the equation of my line in the slope-intercept form. All right, you're still asked to do exactly the same thing, but this time, instead of giving you the slope and 1 point, they're giving you 2 points. To be able to use that point slope formula, you have to know your slope. But if I know 2 points, then I can just use my slope formula to find that. So that's what I've actually got to do first. So I'm going to subtract my y's. So that's going to give me 4 minus -1. And then 2 minus -3. So both of these ended up changing to plus because it was minus a negative. So I have 5 over 5, which will give me a slope of 1. Okay, so now go into your point slope formula. Okay, so I know what to substitute here. That would be my slope of 1. Now your x sub 1 and y sub 1, remember, is any point on the line. You actually have 2 points here. You get to choose which one you want to use. It doesn't matter. I'll just use this second one here. You can use the first one and you should get the same answer that I get. So I would have y minus the y-coordinate, which is 4, equal to the slope times x minus the x-coordinate of my point. Of course, distributing a +1 would still just give you the x minus 2. And then last, to get y by itself, you would need to add the 4. So y is equal to x plus 2. So there is your equation. Now, like if you wanted to check this, and you could do something similar even to the first one, like you could put this in your y equals in your calculator and then just go to the table and make sure that these 2 points are listed in your table. You know, and that would verify that you have found the correct equation for that problem. Okay, so this time they're giving you the equation, and you need to state the slope and the y-intercept and then graph it. Now remember, these are all linear functions, therefore they're all lines. Okay, now this is already in the slope-intercept form. Of course, this is the same, f of x is the same thing as y. So you're looking at this as y equal mx plus b. Okay, so that means that my slope is the 3/4. Now the x is not included in this, just the 3/4. Okay, then the y-intercept. Now remember, if it's a y-intercept, then your x-coordinate has to be 0. And of course, this being -3 would indicate this is a -3. Okay, now before I actually start with my graph, let's go back and talk about the rise over run that I talked about. And if you look back at the note when you wrote that down, beside the word rise, I wrote up or down. So that would indicate the 3. Now you have to decide, does that mean up 3 or down 3? But this 3 is a positive number, so if it's positive, that means you're going to go up 3. Okay, beside the bottom number that was referred to as run, I wrote left or right. So now you have to decide, do I go to the left 4 or do I go to the right 4? The 4 is also positive, so that's going to indicate that I need to go to the right. Okay, so just a rough sketch here. This is anything you would have to have graph paper for. Just do your x and your y axis. Okay, now I put more tick marks on here than what I would have to have, but that's fine. All right, first of all, you're going to mark your y-intercept. So my y-intercept is at -3. And then it's going to be from that point that you're going to use your slope, and you're going to count up 3 and to the right 4. So from this point, go up 3 and to the right 4. Now you can count that off more than just that one time. You know, like if you did it again and went up 3 and right 4, then you're going to end up with another point somewhere over in this area. But regardless how many times you count it off, those points are all going to line up in a straight line for you. And just draw a line between those points the best that you can. Of course, these are easy to check when you get finished because you do have the equation. You can put the equation in your y equals and graph it and just make sure that this does match up with what's on your calculator. The next one. Okay, first thing about this equation that you might notice is a little bit different is I don't actually have a number that's added or subtracted. Again, like this is the y equal mx plus b. So like I've got this term, but I don't have this term. So if you're missing this term of plus b, which is just a constant, it would have to be just an understood 0. Okay, now your slope. Now this time I have a negative in front of my fraction. You have to put the negative with the top number or the bottom number, but do not put it with both. So out of habit, I just always stick it with the top number, but like I said, don't apply it to both of them. Okay, y-intercept. Again, your x-coordinate would have to be 0. This is your y coordinate, which is also 0. So what's happening is this one is just going through the origin. Okay, so you start off by marking your y-intercept, again, which is the origin. And then from this point, this is where we're going to use our slope. Now remember, top number has to be either up or down. But this time, since I've applied my negative here, that means I'm going to have to go down 1. Bottom number is either left or right. This is not negative. You've put your negative up here. This is a positive 3. So that means we're going to go to the right. So from this point, I need to go down 1 and to the right 3. Now, I mentioned a while ago, you can count it off as many times as you want to. You can even reverse both of these numbers, because remember I said, or both of these directions, because I did say you can put your negative on the bottom instead of the top. So you can reverse both and go up and to the right. Because if I go up 1, up and left. So if I go up 1 and left 3, see, that's still going to give me a point, that's going to line up. Of course, mine are just a little bit off here, but that's going to happen with you just freehanding your tick marks on this. So when you are marking your tick marks, of course, you can tell like here I got off. Try to be as consistent as you can with the distance that you're putting between your tick marks, because if you're very inconsistent with it, your points are not going to line up as they should.